An emotional day in court today as the trial of the man accused of killing a San Diego police officer finally got underway 5 years after it happened. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
I'm Carlo Chiquetto. Jesse Gomez is accused of murdering Jonathan de Guzman and shooting his partner Wade Irwin in the Shelltown neighborhood back in July of 2016. His aide Shannon Handy was at the courthouse today.
She has more on opening statements and talks about the dramatic body cam video showing fellow officers trying to save de Guzman's life.
Marcella and Carlo, it's only day one of this trial, and already it was a very emotional day in court. Out of respect for the family, we are choosing not to show that video. But the officer whose body-worn camera captured it broke down as he took the stand, describing what happened.
My concerns were getting JD to professional medical help as quickly as we could.
San Diego police officer Kelly Stewart was one of several officers who responded to Shelltown on July 28, 2016, the night Officer Jonathan de Guzman was shot and killed while on duty.
So when I got to Officer de Guzman, he was in a slumped position, his chin was down, his eyes were closed, there was blood coming from his mouth, and he appeared to be very pale. I tried calling out to him, but there was no response.
Stewart drove de Guzman to the hospital. He got emotional as he recalled doctors telling him de Guzman wasn't going to make it.
Just didn't leave his side because I didn't want him to be alone.
De Guzman, also known as JD, was with his partner Wade Irwin patrolling the area in a marked vehicle as part of the San Diego Police Department's gang suppression team. According to prosecutors, the pair spotted Jesse Gomez and another male walking and then split up when they saw the officers. Officer Irwin turned his car around and parked it and approached Gomez on foot. That's when Gomez shot Irwin in the neck, injuring him, and then walked over to the patrol car and shot JD.
He turns his attention towards Officer de Guzman, who's seated in the police car, who hasn't even gotten out. And he turns his attention to him and he fires, not once, not twice, 5 times, emptying that gun.
As for Gomez, his attorney says he was under the influence of meth and scared, claiming he didn't know who the officers were, adding Shelltown is known for its gang violence.
On that night, on the streets of Shelltown, as a car slowly approached Jesse Gomez from behind in the darkness, and a man confronted him from behind, Jesse Gomez was afraid for his life.
The trial is expected to last between 6 and 8 weeks. If convicted, Gomez could face the death penalty.
A total of 4,000 U.S. troops are expected on the ground in Afghanistan as efforts continue to get American citizens and some refugees out of the country. The Pentagon says it plans to have 1 charter flight out per hour. And in the wake of the Taliban takeover there, CBS News is reporting that phone calls are now going out to thousands of U.S. citizens on how to safely get to the airport and where to go when they arrive.
Afghan refugees started arriving in San Diego last week. Catholic Charities is one of 4 agencies in the county that receive refugees to assist in resettling.
Tonight, News 8's Abby Alford shares how local humanitarian organizations are helping refugees and the local Afghan community during this crisis.
Humanitarian efforts here in San Diego include Jewish Family Services of San Diego and also an organization who's reaching out to our local Afghan community.
Images of gratitude by recent Afghan refugees arriving in San Diego County. Catholic Charities is one of 4 agencies in the county, including Jewish Family Service, who say that they are receiving 3 to 5 Afghan refugee families a week and expect more in the wake of the Afghanistan crisis.
We search for apartments for them. We temporarily place them in a hotel for a couple of days until we're able to secure an apartment. We furnish their apartments. We help their kids enroll in school.
But most importantly, they offer emotional support during this traumatic time.
Families that are coming in have very mixed feelings, huge sense of relief that they've made it to this side, and a lot of concern for their family members who were not as lucky, who have remained behind.
Organizations like Catholic Charities and nonprofits like Borderlands for Equity are fielding calls from the local Afghan community worried about their families in Afghanistan.
We tried to be a conduit for the community members that are feeling really powerless and really hurt right now and not knowing what to do next.
As you can imagine, the fluid situation is causing a lot of anxiety.
The real crisis is that for that Afghan diaspora we all feel powerless as a whole because we know that so many doors have been closed in the face of these refugees.
As the violence continues in Afghanistan, many question how this could have happened with Afghani troops outnumbering the Taliban.
We did not try to instill in the heart of these troops a sense of loyalty to their own country. That was a failure.
The former ambassador to Qatar says that there's still hope that the U.S. can negotiate with the Taliban.
What we have seeded is not lost.
Meanwhile, humanitarian groups hope Congress will act soon.
There is no other way that we can be able to move through this crisis without allowing people to come into the country.
A Peace in Afghanistan vigil will be held Thursday night at the Prado Fountain in Balboa Park at 6:30.
Thanks everybody for answering the call to rise up when your country needs you and say, I do not consent.
Back here at home, Reopen San Diego rallied outside the county administration building this afternoon. They're against a push from county supervisors who want proof of vaccination at businesses as a condition of service or employment. The county is only recommending businesses require their employees be vaccinated or be subject to frequent testing. So far, it's not a requirement, though the county has implemented that rule for its own employees.
It was back to school today for thousands of students around the county.
The San Marcos Unified School District was one of 5 to welcome kids back for full-time in-person learning for the first time in 17 months. Although masks are still required, district leaders say it's good to get back to almost normal. The district has installed HEPA air filters throughout its school buildings and will continue with its cleaning protocols to keep students and staff safe.
And tomorrow, nearly 36,000 students will be going back to school in the Poway Unified District. Superintendent Marianne Kim Phelps says that after all the ups and downs of last year, her staff is ready to go.
You know, our staff has been great and very flexible with all of the different changes that are being sent down to us from the California Department of Public Health. But we're just doing our best. I think our teachers are working really hard. Our site principals are working really hard to make sure their schools are ready to receive our kids tomorrow mornings.
Masks will be required for all Poway students and staff indoors and are optional outdoors.
A new poll shows nearly 70% of Americans support local school districts requiring masks. The Axios Ipsos poll also found that 64% of Americans support state and local governments requiring masks in public. About half of those who took part in the poll say their employer requires masks at work, but only 16% say their workplace required vaccination. According to the survey, only 44% of Republicans were in favor of masks, while 92% of Democrats were in favor. About 1,000 adults nationwide were surveyed.
The White House is expected to announce this week that anyone who got the 2-dose Pfizer or Moderna vaccine should get a booster shot.
As Michael George reports, President Biden is expected to address the issue after he meets with health officials tomorrow.
Americans who received the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine could start getting a booster shot as early as mid-September if the FDA approves the plan.
We're likely to do this down the road in phases. The older persons first, healthcare workers after that.
Dr. William Schaffner is an infectious disease expert at Vanderbilt.
As with most vaccines, after a time, protection wanes. And so we have to give our immune system a reminder. And that's what a booster would do.
The third shot would likely be the same brand as the first two and would come 8 months after the second dose. Officials are still waiting on more data before giving guidance on the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Johnson & Johnson is working on their data, and we anticipate information from that quarter will be coming along a little bit later.
People with compromised immune systems, like Roy Johnson of Iowa, are already allowed to get a booster shot.
Well, I have an autoimmune condition, so when it was made available, I thought, well, may as well go ahead and get the third shot.
The push to vaccinate comes as the Delta variant continues to overwhelm hospitals across the nation. In Austin, Texas, ambulances are waiting up to an hour for open beds.
Our medics are being overworked like crazy.
And starting today in New York City, people patronizing indoor gyms, restaurants, and museums will have to show proof of vaccination. Michael George, CBS News, New York.